After 1 year, MedsMap is getting an expansion pack. New lessons. New brushes.
So I'm sure it's a wonderful course by Med.
All the stuff I talked about in the shape design lesson, where we keep these sort of islands of big areas, I'm not going to put anything directly in the center between this edge and that edge. I'm going to take that. One thing you could do to kind of sort of help get your characters to look a little bit more believable, and it's a very subtle thing, but if you add little...
At no extra cost.
Now, as I'm doing this, I'm also rotating my brush with pen tilt,
Adding to an already existing helpful guide to digital painting.
Now, as I'm doing this, again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm going to keep all of my brush strokes at an angle. I'm going to avoid making any line that is perfectly vertical, perfectly horizontal. All right, we got brand new content, not a DLC because you can't actually download it, but it's an expansion pack for free if you already have the course, and if you buy the course, it comes with it. So 3 brand new lessons. We're doing a style study based on Sergei Kolosov's work, where we take his style and break it down completely and apply that to our own sketch and turn it into a painting. There are 5 specific categories that I go through, and if you've ever seen my content, you know that I'm pretty thorough with how I explain things. The trick is to assume that I'm talking to a 5-year-old. We have an addition to our lighting lesson because some people were kind of confused about how to actually apply it to a painting. So I show you how to do that in 3 different ways, in 3 different lighting scenarios. And then finally, well, people were requesting a breakdown of how I did these Elden Ring themed paintings over on my Instagram. And so that's exactly what I did here. And it's all many hours of brand new content and all these new lessons. I'm not really sure how many hours it is, but it's plenty of additional content that you want. Buy it now or regret it forever. Should we give them the free preview? Ooh, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Should we give them the free preview? Like, if you don't want to learn anything, do not watch it. It's only for people who want to learn something. That is the question. It's like, is this even real? Like, dude, we're just in my studio right now. We're not actually in space. You thought I was in space. Fine, give them the free preview. Took quite a long break a couple days ago, so we'll get some really fresh eyes on this. And I think, yeah, it's very clearly, you see these triangles that are really present in the style here, right? And they all kind of fit together like puzzle pieces, as I often talk about. So that checks off the shape design aspect and stylizing proportions, lighting, and now we're just going to keep going with the painting and see where we go. So I'm going to try to treat every kind of area in the same way we treated the overall area. Using the building blocks of the shapes, such as triangles, on a bigger scale, we're going to zoom in and sort of forget the bigger context for a little bit. Treat this area in the same way. It's kind of like a microcosm version of the original, like zoom out. Okay, so now we are, of course, allowed to deviate from the reference, but we're going to borrow information from the reference until we want to deviate. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of peek back and forth, looking at these areas and try to see what color they are. And we're going to end up changing the colors quite a bit, but we're just going to lay in something for now. And I'm going to start here in the eye area because I think that's a pretty distinct focal point. Now, what I just did there, I put a rectangle, right? And instead of trying to angle the brush so that it ends up like a triangle, what I could do is lay down a rectangle and then grab this color and carve away to make it a triangle. And you can see him doing that quite a bit, especially in areas like this, how things overlap over each other to sort of create those triangular textures and patterns. And that's something you can kind of do everywhere if you chose to. All right, let's go ahead and make this less saturated for that light coming in from the left side. Let's carve it up, make it a triangle. Right. Yeah, this has actually been a really fun learning experience for me, since I've never really studied his work particularly. But what I'm getting out of it is this sort of like challenge of, can we take every area and treat it with a triangular form language and shape language? All right, let's grab this color, because I want to paint the whites of the eyes, but I know it's going to be darker here and brighter there. So I'm just going to take this gray color and shift it a little bit to the left, and I'm going to just sneak in a little triangle in there and make it way brighter, and shift the hue up maybe towards the yellows, and we'll sneak a triangle in there as well. Now, I simplified all of this information that is more complex into a basic triangle. Let's zoom out and see how it looks. Yeah, we could work with that, and we'll edit it later by carving over it like that, maybe introducing some curvature in certain areas. I'm seeing a little bit of red there, so I just move the color picker over here towards red. I'm going to carve over that to make it triangular. And this is going to be fun, this little overlap thing. So essentially what we can do is paint whatever's behind first and then carve over it in layers. So this part of the eyelid there, we're going to paint that first so we get that nice triangle with the information that we need. We'll kind of bring this eyelid back over, or that skin, by layering it. So let's go ahead and grab a brighter color. We're going to just paint that part. And there's a little area where it's going to be in shadow. Let's go ahead and make that more angular like this. Okay, and there seems to be another highlight down here. And if it doesn't look the way you want it to the first time, that's perfectly fine. Do it as many times as you need. That's the benefit of having layers and the undo button. So I'm going to shade a little bit here. And now we have that. What we're going to do is paint over it by essentially imagining there's a sort of hood or a roof or some kind of balcony roof coming over it like that. Okay. And then maybe we'll add some triangular shapes here to follow up with that shape stuff. And zoom out. Yeah. And I think what I'll do is probably refine it in a better way later once everything's in place, rather than trying to worry about it right now. So there's a nice dark triangle there of shadow. Just going to lay that in. And then turns into like a warmer shadow over here. Let's go ahead and make it redder. And then carve it into a little triangle. All right, the top of the lower eyelid is going to have a different color, but we're going to make sure that this part of the eyelid maintains that triangularity. And now this is all setting up the shapes for now. Later, when we blend things, it might not even look like we have the triangles anymore, but you and I, we know that the triangles are in there, and that's why the shapes are working the way they are, and that's why the style looks the way it looks. I wonder if we can have some kind of AI that'll scrub through this video and take count for how many times I said the word triangle. I'm just making this area darker with this brush. And this brush should be, all of these should be in the newer brush pack that you can find in the files that you can download. And one of these newer lessons, I think it should be attached. Okay, just maintaining these triangles. Okay. With something like this painting, part of me wishes that I could explain absolutely everything that I'm doing for those of you who are completely dependent on the literal step-by-step of absolutely everything. But some things would just be, well, repeating myself over and over. But also some things I think you can deduce just through practicing and discovering a lot on your own. And if I'm talking and explaining absolutely everything, we're going to be missing out on a lot of just process or progress on the actual painting. So that's just a message for anyone expecting absolutely everything to be explained. But I try. You know me. You've seen my stuff. Okay. All right. That's pretty decent for now. Yeah, I really like that look. Now, just to kind of drive the idea home about the importance of the shapes and being aware of the shapes, what I'm going to do is actually get in here and I'm going to kind of ruin the triangles that we set up and turn them all to more rectangular shapes so that we can compare the effect being lost and we lose that dynamic quality of the triangles. So I'm going to get in here. No more triangles here. This becomes a rectangle too. Definitely going to kill all that. Right. So now when we look at it, it could still read as what we want it to be in terms of a painting, but we lose that style. Now watch what happens when I turn this layer off. Everything's more cohesive. So we decided ahead of time what kind of design language we want, and it echoes through. Okay, I'm just borrowing some information here in terms of how he handles the cheekbone area. Okay, bit of a line there. Let's go back to the reference. And let's let some of that rim light hit this side of the nose. And the cool thing about doing a study like this is you can front load your understanding and very careful process of, overlapping in the shape treatment and carving angles into triangles. If you do that very carefully and slowly, when you keep going, it just becomes intuitive and you don't think about it. And you just kind of say, all right, I figured out over here. All right, I can just keep going without having to think too much. And that's kind of what I feel right now. I feel like I could just kind of finish the whole piece without needing to, I guess, consciously force it to be that style. And that's, of course, I've got lots of practice of adapting, but that's something you can definitely master as you do more and more of these kinds of studies. All right, so I may or may not end up just getting quiet for a little bit. But if I have anything profound to say, I will say it. But I'm going to go into a bit of a flow state zone and just paint the heck out of it.
You're taking Ahmed Aldoori's painting course, aren't you? Those are powerful secrets, indeed. I knew them once. I had to befriend the man himself to learn them. I had to claw them out of him every day. But I suppose you just get to watch them in chapters at your own convenience. That's great. That's great. It almost doesn't seem fair. It almost doesn't seem right. Come back! Come back!
Just a quick voiceover in this clip. There won't be any talking, it's just the painting part. So you can watch the whole thing in real time, or you can speed it up or skip to the end. That's up to you. But if you're interested in seeing every little move that I make, then yeah, I would just watch it in real time.